All right, welcome to another edition of Dan and Jack talking congressional districts. In this edition, our 14th, we have the Oregon 5th congressional district, where the Democrat is Jamie McLeod Skinner facing Republican Lori Chavez-DeRemer. Jack, you want to tell us a little bit about this district?
This is a district which would have been much more difficult for the Republicans to pick up originally, perhaps not even in the toss-up column. Oregon 5 was repped by one of the most moderate Democrat congressmen in the House, and still is until January, which the current congressman is Kurt Schrader. Schrader had a few potential weaknesses that might have invited challenge, such as failing to disclose stock trades within the required deadlines, which may sound trifling. This comes at a time when Congress is increasingly under attack for members flagrantly trading on insider information. Schrader was also taking heat from his own party for opposing any bill which included minimum wage increases or provisions. He was one of the only two Dems in the House against the minimum wage in principle. And he voted against one of the COVID relief bills. And his primary opponent, Jamie McLeod Skinner, took him to the woodshed on this and other issues for being insufficiently progressive, leading to McLeod Skinner winning in that primary. So it would have been a very tough race for the Republicans to face off against a moderate like Kurt Schrader, but it looks like more of a progressive won the primary. So we'll see. There could definitely be a race here. And McLeod Skinner won 57 to 42%.
Wow, I mean that's a convincing win in a
Yeah.
primary against somebody that's been there for as long as he has. I mean, it really just goes to show the changing nature of the Democrat coalition and how much more progressive they're getting. Um, it's interesting in the remap, the nature of this district has changed quite considerably. It used to be a more suburban and coastal district, but it moved inland while retaining probably quite a bit of its core population centers. It also takes in more rural and urban areas as well, stretching from the outskirts of Portland all the way to Bend. And I mean, there's a lot of empty space in there if you look at the district on a map, which we'll have up there. You want to tell us a little bit about Jamie McLeod Skinner?
Yeah. So Jamie McLeod Skinner is someone who's been itching to enter public life at the A level for some time now. She's currently serving on the school board, and she did run for Secretary of State in Oregon in 2020. And in 2018, she actually did try to run for Congress as well. And it was at that time when it was Oregon's second district is where she ran. Um, Schrader, who's our Republican candidate, accused her of being a much more moderate version of herself to suit that district. So Schrader was kind of saying um, that Jamie McLeod Skinner was trying to pretend to be a moderate just to fit what the district wanted. Um,
Or that she's basically a phony in general.
you basically, yes.
I mean, which there might be some evidence for that. So like, if you listen to her talk, and she has very good ads, I'll say. I mean, she's almost clearly like a Bernie level progressive,
Yeah.
but I would wager quite a bit on the notion that she is making like the lion's share of her money as an attorney, but she only like passively mentions that. She'll talk more about fighting wildfires as an emergency recovery coordinator, whatever that is. I mean, it's not a firefighter, so I mean, maybe she's. I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate her work. Like maybe she's legitimately helping, but I mean, she clearly is trying to make that like front facing as what she is and who she is, as opposed to just some lawyer. Which I mean, voters don't have like a great opinion of lawyers in general.
No.
Most people's interaction with them isn't super positive. Unless it's like a
No.
real estate closing or drafting a will or something like that.
I think I said that Schrader is our Republican candidate. No, Schrader's the congressman who McLeod
Yeah.
Skinner beat in the primary. Um, but I mean, no, I completely agree. She's probably, well, it seems like she's been a phony before. So I mean, maybe she's not, like you said, but I don't know. She does kind of have a record of,
Yeah, it smells like it. I'll say
yeah.
that much.
Um, but I mean, going off of that, she is very progressive. She talks a lot about the environment, which a lot of our candidates have, especially our West Coast Democrats. I've noticed that
Oh
more
yeah, they're
so,
all about it.
yeah, than in the East, which was a lot of what we covered in previous episodes. But I mean, she's got a endorsement from the NARAL, which is the pro-abortion organization. They called her an advocate for criminal justice, racial justice, and reproductive rights. She characterizes herself as
Bah.
pro-worker. Yeah, she characterizes herself as pro-worker and does seem sincere in her concern uh, for the less fortunate. But I mean, like we said, is she really? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
she seems like she does genuinely care about poor people. I mean, if I don't know, I believe her on that. I don't believe her that like she's spending 40 hours a week as an emergency recovery coordinator, whatever that is.
yeah, that's true.
and,
So I mean,
and she's kind of compelling on the personal narrative stuff. If you listen to her about growing up poor with her mother, paying her way through law school and all that. So I don't know. I mean, that part definitely sounds compelling, and I think a lot of these progressive Dems do feel the that calling in that regard. But I mean,
that is
obviously,
true.
yeah, I mean, obviously, the reasoning is wrong, but I mean,
Yes, that's a good point.
they're
Yeah,
sincere in it. I think
yeah, she could
most of them.
definitely be sincere about caring. It's just the way that she um, proposes to solve these issues is not going to work. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that another time. Do you want to talk about our Republican candidate?
Yeah, so the Republican here is Lori Chavez-DeRemer. She's an experienced candidate. She was the mayor of the town of Happy Valley from 2010 to 2018, married 31 years to her husband, and actually has gained a fair amount of national endorsements for her race. She's Hispanic, which should help her. More still, though, is her demeanor and experience. She kept taxes low as mayor, balanced the budget, created a surplus, and even put millions in reserve for her town, which is really something you don't see at the local level, hardly ever. I mean, usually mayors are content to raise their levies, take care of the people in front of them, and that's about it. People at the local level who are successful in balancing their budget, lowering taxes, and creating a reserve net. I mean, that's very impressive. Hopefully, she can hammer that issue. One of the issues we noticed that she was most impressive was her ability to concisely and frankly state her position and really adeptly redirect questions that were aimed to be tough on Republicans. They tried to hit her on abortion and with the standard tropes that they usually do. And she tossed the ball right back at them with the extreme Democrat abortion laws, which actually allow abortion up until birth that are currently on the books in Oregon. She did the same thing with gun control, which we've seen this with a couple other Republican candidates where when they say, oh, well, should you ban assault rifles or whatever? And she turned that back and said, talked about the mental health crisis. That's the real driver of the issue. But she sounds, she can kind of, she really threads the needle, I think. She's well versed on issues. She's disciplined in her speech. While retaining the ability to talk and sound like a normal person, which is a rare feat, as we've seen in actually the last candidate that we covered. Was it Schaefer, or am I confusing it? Was it Schaefer? Was the last one?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Schaefer. He not sounding really much like a normal person, but
no.
but Lori sounds like a normal person. But did you want to tell us a little bit about the cash game, Jack?
Yeah, so as far as the cash battle goes, and this is as of June 30th, McLeod Skinner holds a moderate advantage of 388,000 to 168,000. Skinner also spent $886,000 to take down the incumbent Schrader in the primary. And Chavez-DeRemer spent an even more striking $954,000 in her primary to make it into June. So while Skinner is ahead of DeRemer, it is proven that in the heat of a primary, she can outgun even a progressive darling like Skinner. Do you have the polls in front of you, Dan? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So both Real Clear Politics and Fox News list this race as a toss-up. And Nate Silver's 538 actually gave Chavez-DeRemer, the Republican, a slight advantage in their statistical models, having her win in 53 out of 100 models versus McLeod Skinner getting the job done in only like 47 out of 100. So that's, I mean, and that again, as we've talked about in some of these other videos, is before a lot of the data started to turn more in Republicans' favor in the last week. So that I would say really pushes the advantage toward the Republican here.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And it's funny because I mean it's in Oregon, but Oregon's kind of a weird state as far as politics goes.
Yeah, Oregon, Maine, all these, as we were talking about before we recorded, is all these beautiful states with like picturesque scenery. Like people tend to hold wacky views, which makes them kind of hard to predict electorally.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, that being said, I definitely think that DeRemer can probably pull this one out. Um,
Yeah, she's a really strong candidate. I hope she doesn't take McLeod Skinner um, for granted though, because
yeah,
she did seem formidable. She's compelling on a few points, but if she can point out her extreme Democrat views, hopefully she'll be in a good position.
yeah, I definitely agree. So that being said, I think we'll close this one out. This has been Dan and Jack talking congressional races, and we hope you have a good one. God bless.
Thanks for listening.